This time on Video Game Tango, Nick shares his thoughts on two games, Cultic and Scorn. Gotham Knights has some wild system requirements. The MetaQuest Pro has us throwing hands. NVIdia's unlaunching the RTX 4080. Netflix is trying real hard to get into cloud gaming. And we wish a fond farewell to G4TV. Again.
Nick here to remind you this Halloween, they're all just brains piloting wet bone mechs covered in meat armor.
And the meat is thinking.
My name is Andy, and this is Video Game Tango.
You're in a dark room full of bees and clowns and your taxes are due. It's Halloween, spooky season.
Boo!
We're here.
Yes.
Are you scared yet?
Always.
Okay, good. Well, I have played some spooky games. I actually did some things.
Yes.
Yes. I plan on playing more. But I wanted to start off with a couple games that I thought were going to be up my alley. And more or less, that's where we went. Jumping right into it. The first one I played today was Cultic, which we've talked about before.
Catapult?
Not Catapult. Close. You can throw things. But this is a boomer shooter in the style of like a 70s police whodunit murder mystery, but it gets very dark and cultic, if you will, very quickly. They've got this kind of film grain color palette thing going on that goes really well with the aesthetics. It almost reminded me of like if Alan Wake was a Doom shooter.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
At least that's the feeling I got from the first level. I enjoyed what I played of it, knowing what I was going into. But I quickly realized that any real narrative to the story and whatnot was just given through little, you saw it there in the trailer, little paper logs, journal logs. You find what's going on with this cult and what's going, the whole plot. And the majority of the game is just kind of basic Doom gameplay. You're fighting cultists of various natures and types using some more standard weapons. You got a hatchet, you got a little pistol, you eventually get a rifle and a shotgun. You can throw Molotovs and dynamite. You get bullet time if you get multiple kill streaks in a row. There's a crouch slide jump. Lots of neat tools for traversing in combat. That said, I kind of ran into the problem I've had with a lot of boomer shooters recently. It's that the gameplay's fun and it's fine, but I mean, we've been playing these games for 30 years. And they've done
new spice.
Yeah, there's no real new spice. I mean, the level layout is great. They do a good combination of like seemingly realistic zones with actually, interesting and engaging combat areas. Obviously, it can't be super realistic because you want to have a good gameplay setup. But I ran into a problem on the second level where I was on this giant tanker ship. And I found a note saying that I needed to get to like the bottom levels of the ship. And I spent almost half an hour looking for how to do this and I couldn't find it. And there's one little grate that I just missed that I ended up having to look up a YouTube tutorial just to figure out where to go next. Which leads me to the problem I have with this game, which I don't think everyone will have, so I don't want it to put people off. But the game touts that you can take things sneakily and slowly and feel more feed into that horror vibe or going guns blazing and whatnot. But the game feels almost like it's fighting itself. Like the combat isn't necessarily as safe as Doom is. Mm-hmm. You're not just ripping and tearing and shredding things. It's easy to get hurt. It's easy to run low on ammo if you're not being sparing with it. So I felt like the game was wanting me to play more slowly, like I was investigating a cult, right? And I was doing that. But then all momentum kind of disappeared because, again, it's a Doom-style boomer shooter, which expects you to, traverse through areas quickly and stay engaged in combat. There was some nice things that broke that mold and kind of helped balance that. You got a little soundtrack going on, then you get into area, and the music stops. And your lizard brain just says, oh, fuck. Shit's about to get weird. Yeah. And it does. I don't want to spoil things, but I had a couple really good jump scares where my guns did not immediately solve the problem and I panicked and ran away. And I think that's what you were supposed to do. And stuff starts getting more and more surreal and chthonic and horrific and less just dudes in a robes throwing axes at you. But yeah, I mean, besides that initial problem, just happened to having missed the place I was supposed to go. And just feeling like the game at times was at odds with itself, whether it wanted me to take my time or Russian. I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, it's really hard to make a bare bones boomer shooter nowadays that can hold its own weight.
Yes.
I mean, this genre has been done a million times. But I was satisfied with about 2.5, 3 hours of play I did. I got to, I think, level 3. And yeah, I liked it. The aesthetic's great. It's got a really good feel to it. And if you like what amounts to this style of game or this style of aesthetic, I think it's one worth playing. I think, like I said, we had covered this.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times, just because it's coming from an indie developer, and it's been part of our indie showcase a couple times. And it's definitely one that I had my eyes on. I still haven't played it yet because I don't leave time in my life to play video games, but you know, it's definitely on my radar, and it looks like, while it seems like it doesn't do anything new, it looks like it does it well.
That said, I didn't get super far into it. I don't know how long the game is. I don't know how many levels there are, but stuff was starting to get pretty neat, besides my kind of clashing with the gameplay. That said, it has an overwhelming positive review of over 1,000 reviews on Steam, and it's only $10.
It's hard to go wrong for $10.
Yeah, I mean, that's about at the cap of where you're starting to say, okay, it's getting a little high for an indie game. But yeah, it includes 10 maps. I played through 2 of them in about 2 hours or so. I'm sure you could probably 5-minute run each of those if you know what you're doing. But again, I was playing slowly, trying to conserve ammo. There's a couple times things got hairy. And like I said, there's a couple really spooky moments where I went all out. One neat thing, little interactions in games are kind of what make these stand out. I had some dynamite, and I threw it. I was planning on shooting it to blow up a bunch of guys, and the dude kicked it back at me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't know they could do that, and that was really fucking terrifying in the wrong sort of way. But no, it's great. I mean, a couple little things, like trying to figure out exactly, like the Molotovs, you pick them up, it shows them lighting dynamite. I didn't realize you have to light it first with the left click and then like throw it with the right click or however you do it. Also throwing Molotovs, they were clipping on things. I didn't expect them to. I kept lighting myself on fire. I mean, that's more user error than anything.
I think that's also a problem with a lot of boomer shooters is hitboxes, especially for terrain, can be a little bit funky. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, overall, like, I've played a lot of Doom and Doom 2, so I know what these WAD style like maps are, and they did a really good job. They're very, very large, which is nice. It's nice not going 5 minutes per map and having to constantly reset. Like I said, I mean, even if I was going fast, each map was probably 20, 30 minutes. That's a long time.
Yeah, that's solid.
But yeah.
Did you die at all during your gameplay?
I did not.
Okay.
I got close twice. One, it wasn't that my health was low, is that if I hadn't panicked and ran out in a perfect way, I would have gotten absolutely gobsmacked. And the other one, I was getting low. And I was playing on normal difficulty. I think it would be a fair challenge on hard, and I think there was a difficulty even above that. But like most boomer shooters, I got through this first level, which we're seeing in the trailer. I had discovered after almost an hour of play, 4 out of like 11 secret rooms. Okay. So there's plenty of secrets if you really like trying to find that stuff, like this cabin, trying to figure out how to get in this cabin. The front door's locked. It's just one of the many things that you can do. So yeah, solid review. I think if you're at all interested in cultish style games or old boomer shooters, this is going to be up your alley. It might not be for everyone, but I think this is a more general audience than the next game we're going to talk about.
For sure.
Yeah. You have any experience, Josh, with what we're calling boomer shooters? Doom, Quake,
I played Duke Nukem back in the day, and stuff like that. So the graphical feel kind of feels like that N64 kind of an era
PlayStation
on
1
it.
and 64.
So that the graphical feel is of that. So immediately it is recognizable and familiar. I am really digging. I spook easy, but I like Weird West. I like culty noir.
Yeah.
That's
you just did exactly what I did in the game.
We just saw a really good example of the strange hitbox. It looked like it was going right through that hole and exploded on there. Yeah. So I really like the aesthetics of the game. It looks really cool. And since I haven't played a crazy amount of this, honestly, if you haven't this could be a good introductory. If you missed out on the Duke Nukems or something like that, and you're like, well, boomer shooter, it's not just for boomers. You can be
now comes in 3 different flavors,
right? This it definitely feels like a good introductory game into that genre, especially if you like the aesthetic of like a culty noir feel. Because the dude's using a Luger. He has an old lighter that, he used to smoke, and he brings up memories about his World War II buddy. I'm adding things.
This takes place in 1969. I think you are playing the part of a disgraced detective who was kicked off a case of these missing things. That's what it seems like. One thing I've noticed, he's got his gamma way the hell up. I was playing on default gamma, and these rooms he's running through, I could barely see. And you have to hold up your Zippo in one of your hands to be able to see, which means you can't use your two-handed guns. Going into this next scene made that. Yeah,
I like that even more. Though
it got really spoopy.
That's kind of that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I am digging the look of this here, though.
Yeah. Again, last thoughts. If you're at all into spooky games that are going to have some jump scares and get really surreal and Cthulhu-esque, probably, I'm guessing, or boomer shooters, this is worth the $10. Wasn't my particular cup of tea, but I expected that going into it. So after that, we have one which was way up more my alley and probably completely not up most people's alley, and that is Scorn.
It's Scorn. It's got the juices.
Not corn, or whatever Andrew thought I was saying earlier.
It's Scorn.
Yes. So Scorn is a game that has been
with entropy and everything changed.
Exactly. This game has been in development since 2014. It amasses to about 6 to 8 hours of gameplay. So we're looking at almost a decade of work for 2 evenings of play. And it shows in mostly good ways. There's a saying, a YouTube channel, whatnot, that movies should have every frame being a painting. And if anything, if I had to, too long didn't read, this game is like an art house experience for a very particular subset of people that happens to have some gameplay. And I am absolutely enraptured by it. I've got about an hour and a half into it.
I already feel uncomfortable.
And it will make you feel uncomfortable. This game is Światław Beksinski of the famous art fame. This is H.R. Geiger, maybe a bit of Cronenberg. This is Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It is a beautiful, dark, beyond human comprehension level of mashing of bone and blood into some dark future of a corrupt, hellish alien race that you're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I've been thinking for the last 2 hours about how to describe this game.
Yeah.
Without giving away too many spoilers, the opening and the first level, you are a being, a vaguely human-like being that is in this techno-organic biomeat facility that is likely thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years old, or it's out of time. I don't know. Things are decrepit. And your goal is to push forward and get things running. Maybe. It's weird. I mean, I think the best way to describe it, it's almost just a walking simulator.
Yeah.
It happens to have some gameplay in it. And the few instances of gameplay I've encountered have almost irritated me. Like, I wanted to be unnerved, but this is so much up my alley and so beautiful and aesthetically pleasing that I felt like a tourist with a camera. Like every time I turned my camera, I was like, that's a fucking wallpaper. That's a wallpaper. That's a screenshot. Like this is a work of art. And I'm 3 minutes into the game.
So to break that real quick is you shared some screenshots in Discord.
Yeah, I was in the second. I wish I'd started sooner, but I was in the second area, the second zone, second level, whatever you want to call it. And within a 4 to 5 minute span, I had just like 4 screenshots that are starkly different.
Yeah.
But they just capture the feel of this game.
They all look like wallpapers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Geiger-esque art.
Walking around, like you could pause a video at any time and it looks like a painting. It shows how much work. I mean, now you've got a HUD, you know, overlay, but it shows how much work they've done in this game that almost anywhere you look, it looks like somebody took the time to handcraft this because they practically did. I will gush for a minute more before I get into the cons, but like, this is definitely not for some people. There so far have been no jump scares. It's been just an experience of, this reminds me of...
Why would you put your arm in there?
You have to. This is, it gets worse. Let me tell you. This reminds me so much. It's parallel to my DMT trip. When you're playing this game, you have a distinct feeling that you are not...
Homie didn't
you
even
should
think
not
about
be
it.
here. Like you're in a place that you do not belong, and you are so small in comparison to whatever is going on that like you are offending in a way the environment, but also not at all because you don't matter. Right. I think Scorn's a good name for like what I'm kind of picking up as a narrative, you know, this disdain of something that is pitiful and useless. And I'm not sure at all where the story's going. But what I've gathered so far, I've absolutely been falling in love with. Now, that said, in my 2 hours of gameplay, I've done what amounts to 1 puzzle. And now, before I jumped here to the podcast, I almost met my first enemy.
Okay.
So there's a lot of just exploring the environment, trying to figure out what you need to do next. And this gets into where I read some reviews, and I think they're going to be on the money. When it comes to the actual gameplay, the puzzles, the first one is needlessly confusing and hard. And apparently they get a little easier. And the combat is awful. I'm kind of expecting that, but it almost feels like this is some new medium of, in that vein of walking simulator. But like if I had this in VR and they'd taken out the puzzles and the combat, like this is something people just need to experience. You just need to walk through and watch the cutscenes because it's such a work of art, right? That like the actual gameplay, the fact that a video game seems to start detracting from it. So yeah, some valid criticisms. The very first puzzle, I don't think would have been as hard, but I got stuck on it because there was part of it I didn't even realize was a part of the puzzle, and I was trying to move these things around to solve the puzzle, and I didn't realize this huge chunk was a thing. So I completely like rotated everything around and got me in a confusing spot before I realized, I got to get this big piece over here. And it was too much. I had to pull up a walkthrough just to reset the puzzle back to its starting state so I could figure it out.
That does say something to me about how organic and unified the art style is, that you might miss a component of a puzzle just because it fits in with everything else.
I mean, you want to go that far. The puzzle, you can see it here in part, is trying to get a brood sack with a mummified human to be grabbed by a meat claw so that you can start an industrial blood process, right? Like it's, I just love my imagination exploded. Like this is full, like young teenage, early 20s Nick thinking of D&D, like the carcerous prison plane and like what the night levels of hell look like in D&D. Cause hell, this might not be hell. I don't know where we are, what time we are in this game. It has been explained to me, but you think of fire and brimstone and horns and this banal depiction, like things can be much, much worse than what the average layman thinks hell's like. And this weird capitalistic factory of bone and flesh that this opening level has just tells you that like this game's got some stuff in store. That said, 6 to 8 hours long. The gameplay is hit or miss at best. So like I said, and I'll say it again, this is not a game for everyone, and it deserves some of the bad reviews it's getting because those kinds of people, this is not the game for them, right? And they're trying to tell people that there's a lot of people who are not going to like this game.
Yeah.
But again, Ścislaw Beksinski, if you like his art, Geiger, Cronenberg, any kind of surreal, beautiful, dark horror, cosmic stuff.
Dropped it.
Yeah, this is the puzzle I was talking about. you got to experience this. I'm looking very forward to sitting back down and playing it. I'm going to wait until tomorrow when it's noon, even though there hasn't been a jump scare.
Sure.
Like, I mean, the game isn't scary. That's the thing, is like, there's nothing like frightening about it so far. Like I said, I met in a cutscene an enemy that's like been slithering around, and I haven't like seen him in game yet. So I know there's like some scary shit in there, but that's not the point. The point isn't to like be a horror game in the traditional sense.
It's to be disturbing. I mean,
it
does it well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is, and they do an excellent job of it. So if you can push past some of the puzzles and push past, apparently, I don't do too many spoilers. I don't really know if this is a spoiler. There's like 24 enemies in an entire game, and all but a handful of them you don't have to fight if you take the time to run from them or trick them. Like there's, I think, 3 to 5 enemies they said that you have to fight. So the game's not about combat, and it's also really not about puzzles. I really do think a puzzle like this, you can see you're having to move pieces around to get it to the far left. It's antithetical to what the game is. And if this had been 2 minutes, that's fine because it fits the theme of what you're doing. Those are like weird little human brood sacks you're moving around. But I spent half an hour on this, and it killed all momentum I had. But I was so engrossed in the aesthetics and theme of this game that I didn't let it stop me. Normally that would have stopped me. If you stick me with a 30-minute puzzle in a game, I'm done. But I knew this game had more to offer. So I highly recommend this as an experience. Again, just be aware that it's short and some of the gameplay is going to suck, but that's not why you should play it. So,
yeah. So for me, this is something I've actually been tracking the development of this for a long time, and we've seen really early previews of it. Like I think PewDiePie first played this in like 2017.
Yeah,
he got a really early build of it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's it's been a long time coming, but for me, while I think, because I agree with you on the art style and aesthetic, huge into Geiger, and like, one of the reasons I love the Alien franchise as much as I do is the aesthetic. One they've managed to keep throughout multiple different movies in the franchise, and I love that. I think that looks incredible. I also think that if this is a depiction of hell, I think this is what I would depict hell to look like, right? I am less scared than I am disturbed. Like this, it's almost like uncanny valley levels of disturbed, right? Because you're seeing depictions of nearly human-like things, and things are made of flesh and bone, and the introduction of technology into that is really fascinating too. I also love that kind of feel and aesthetic. And watching, like, we've been watching this guy solving this puzzle in this gameplay that we're watching for like 5 minutes now, right? And I still haven't been able to take my eyes off it because there are so many moving parts and then just parts of the backdrop that are captivating. Yeah. So I agree in the fact that I think that this is an experience more than it is probably a game. Because one of the reasons that I haven't been looking forward to playing this necessarily is that what I've seen of gameplay doesn't look good. The gunplay seems meh, but that's not what this game is about, right? So for me, this is a title that I'm very much looking forward to playing eventually. But it's probably going to be in a big Steam sale or something, next year.
I think PT would be a good parallel example, and not necessarily just because it's a horror game, but because PT was like, you have nothing to do in PT but try to progress.
Yeah.
And you do that for the sake of experiencing PT, right? It's not like you're leveling up or, trying to beat the game under a certain time. It's just, you're just playing the game to experience the horror of it.
Yeah.
And that's what this is like. And, the whole time I'm playing, again, I don't know where it's set, but like if I had to like boil the vibe down of this game, you're in hell, but all the demons are currently away. But they could be back at any time, and you keep flickering the lights in their house. Like you feel like you're in this abandoned prison plane, and everything you're doing is like getting one step closer to turning everything back on.
Yeah.
So just, foreboding and tension, and it gets gory. Like we're watching this trailer, he finally solved this puzzle, you bring this thing down, and I was like, oh, we're gonna hatch this egg and an alien's gonna come out of it. No, it's worse, and it just gets worse. And yeah, it's. I don't want to gush about it too much because it does have its problems.
Sure.
But yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, you gotta try it.
I definitely dig the style for sure.
Other than that, yeah, I want to try to play some more. I know that Scathe and Agony, both similar naming schema. One of them's like a succubus porn game, I think. I can't remember which one was which.
Yeah.
But yeah, a similar vein.
Succubus, huh?
Yeah. You actually have to eat entire buses. There's a combo meter. But no, besides that, we're talking about we're going to try to do some Phasmophobia next week.
We are, yeah. We'll talk about that more later on in the show for sure.
But yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Halloweeny stuff goes, that's what I've got. So we can do some more general news now.
You say it's definitely dark and
Yes, very
disturbing.
dark.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like on that front, games, I mean, shouldn't be for everybody. That means your game, like, you've tried too hard, you've put too much in. It's not going to, no one's going to like that shit if you try to make a game everybody likes.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, dude, like, every scene, a painting. Like, there is just so much going on in the background of stuff. Like, all the little details. And we've kind of harped on that for a minute. But it's like,
I was really walking up to the walls in the game
away.
just to stare at them. Like, I don't do that in games. I was like, holy shit, this is detailed as fuck, and it's just one wall, you know? But
Clearly a labor of love.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of, like I said, a lot of moving parts, a lot of details, and I mean, fuck, give it a watch. Give it a try. Like, I mean, if you don't want to play it, someone's going to have a playthrough of that thing. And
I mean, we were just watching one.
We were just watching
if you don't play it, it's worth a watch through, definitely. People get down to 5 hours or so. That's a couple nights of bedtime videos. Maybe not watch it before bedtime. Maybe do. It's Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
YOLO.
Make spooky choices.
Yoso, you only speak once.
Josh, you've got news.
I do have news. Here in just a couple of days, the new Gotham Knights drops October 21st. Now, we've talked about the game a couple of times on the show. Both myself and our dear friend Russ, who's currently doing things in another part of the country, are real fans of the Batman games, and like many of you out here, also fans.
He's trafficking echidnas.
Yep. It launches the 21st. I've been excited about this because it's going to have co-op play, so I will be able to play with my homie or new homies out there. However, it turns out I may not be able. Well, I will, but plenty of people aren't going to be able to do that because the minimum settings of this. You need a monster even for like minimum settings. A Ryzen 5 3600 or either a GTX 1660 Ti or a Radeon RX 590. I don't even know what a Radeon RX 590 is. I'm not even sure what that one is. But that's just run minimum specs. If you say
not quite minimum. So that's what's recommended.
Was that recommended?
No, that's not the recommended specs. That's the minimum, but that's to run at 1080p low settings. So it still gets lower than that, but most people are going to be wanting to play 1080p at least low and get a decent frame rate, and that's what they're talking about here. The minimum specs, as you were saying, are Core i5 9600K or a Ryzen 5 3600 and GTX 1660 Ti or an RX 590. And while those aren't like top of the line specs, those are, as far as the mid-range, kind of on the high end of things. We know based on Steam statistics that the most popular graphics card still today, and has been running for almost 2 years, is the GTX 1060. And it's not recommended that you run this game on the GTX 1060 for at least a good minimum frame rate, which they are saying is probably going to be targeting around 30 FPS at low settings.
That's all the consoles are going to get.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the consoles are going to be running higher than low settings. They'll be running medium high, but
apples are $3 a fucking pound. You want me to buy this shit just to play Batman? What's going on? What's happening?
I mean, we're seeing a lot of this though. We're seeing a lot of really demanding titles that don't look like they should be. I think that has a lot to do with a severe lack of optimization from especially the big game creators lately.
It's laziness with
one of my,
3As.
It's one of my biggest complaints in more recent titles. But remember that that's like the minimum recommended.
Yeah. If you want to play Nightwing in 4K, you're gonna need to boot up the Bat computer.
You need an actual sun powering your machine.
Batman himself couldn't play this game in 4K.
In lieu of the sun, you could use an Intel Core i7-10700K or a Ryzen 5 5700X paired with a GTX, or rather an RTX 2070 or Radeon RX 5700 XT. So those are some pretty high-end cards. They're actually a couple generations behind now. But those are the high-end, more high-end cards of a couple generations. So certainly there is headroom there to run at higher settings and higher resolutions, but it's going to cost a small fortune if you don't already have the hardware to back it up. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the crux of it. Is it's a very demanding title according to the.
Well, and they've also dropped their Xbox One and PS4 versions of this title. It is only coming out on the Primo consoles, on the new consoles, at that new console price of $70. So which is, whatever.
Is that the standard now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's an entire other conversation to get into. But yeah, most games for the latest generation of console, or even the last generation back, because they're pretty much just all going up across the board, is $70. Yeah.
Well, if you want to have an authentic Batman experience and you don't have the money for that, I can offer a solution where you pay a different price. Just get your parents dressed up really nice, go to the theater, and when the show's over, make sure you exit out the alleyway. I promise you, it'll be like you're Batman yourself.
Your mother must be wearing pearl necklace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't worry, it'll be Joe Chill.
On the tail of hardware discussions,
right?
We didn't talk about this last week. This actually happened in the middle of last week, but the Meta Quest Pro
sounds like a disease
has been announced. We're ushering in a new era of VR. So no longer is the Meta Quest a thing. Meta Quest 2 being the most recent headset from Meta. That's going to be Oculus would have been fine. Oculus would have been fine. But now we are rocking Meta headsets. Now, a couple interesting things is, so beyond talking about the tech specs and stuff, which we will discuss, I want to talk kind of about the future of VR. Some of the bigger changes that we're seeing here is we're seeing a lot more sensors. We're seeing a slightly faster processor, a little bit more RAM, a little bit more storage, and a 90 hertz refresh rate, which is kind of like the standard now for VR headset refresh rates. So fortunately, we've gone higher resolution, higher refresh rate. Even for standalone headsets, it's actually pretty impressive what these guys are doing. The new design comes with 10 sensors, both inward toward your face and outward facing. They completely revamped the optics. It's using a Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus chip with 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and that 90 hertz refresh rate that we talked about, which is a little over 50% better in performance than the Quest 2. So it's a pretty good leap. Not like double or triple, but, pretty good leap. Now, you will be paying many times the price over of what the Oculus, or rather the Meta Quest 2 was priced at. The entry level was $300. The one with more storage was $400. The Pro has a price of $1,500 at launch.
Does it jerk me off as well?
No, but it's close.
Okay, fair enough.
So a few things that we're looking forward here, and
good Lord.
So the Quest Pro's 10 sensors are split between 5 exterior cameras and 5 inward-facing cameras. The outward-facing cameras serve 2 main purposes. They support full-color pass-through, so you can easily see the world around you from inside the headset. So along with being a VR headset, this is also an AR headset. For those not familiar with that, that means
Augmented
reality rather than virtual reality. So it is an AR and a VR headset, and it can utilize both of those systems at the same time, which is pretty neat.
It's pretty cool, but that made my stomach feel weird.
That's weird. So
yeah, it's gonna make me dizzy. I can already feel it.
So what they're saying is the pass through is pretty sharp, and this is coming from somebody that's reviewed it. This is coming from Sam Rutherford from Engadget. So for example, he used Painting VR app to create his very own Bob Ross, and then was able to hang the painting on a wall in his room, which, because the camera has sensors and it has onboard memory, it remembers the style that he's changed his room in his augmented reality headset. So being able to measure distances is something that it's able to do, but it's also able to remember, like, based on location and where you're looking, what you should be looking at within the room inside of an even VR space. It's
kind of cool.
It is cool. So while I don't think I have to say it, while I'm against Meta as a company, being owned by Facebook and their logging of data, their entry into the VR space, this is kind of where I was hoping to see VR headsets go to. Being able to get a mixed reality is what they call it when it's AR and VR together, is, I think, a very important application in getting VR, in more hands, and B, cheaper.
Not this entry one here, but
that's true. But what we are looking at, as far as mixed reality goes, and bringing it to the masses, the fact that it's made by Meta, and Meta as a company is looking at trying to create things like VR workspace, so you can work from home while maintaining social interactions between coworkers, things like that, makes it a practical purchase also. There will be companies that will be issuing these to their employees, right? That includes Facebook and Meta.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right. So they're going to be working, instead of having huge building and workspace, people are going to be able to work from home and still be able to interact with each other in at least a 3D environment. While I'm not huge on I think that's a huge leap forward and I think that's a fantastic idea, what that does mean is that gets VR in more hands, right? Yeah. So it won't just be, it's probably only going to be major tech companies that take this technology on it first. But it means it's in more hands, meaning potentially that the demand is going to go up. If demand goes up, hopefully we start seeing cheaper versions of this to be applied at home. And I think the practical application is what we needed for the proliferation of VR to really take off. What I'm seeing now is, we've talked about VR being the future of gaming. And I think this is proof of concept of that maybe actually happening, rather than it being a tertiary accessory that you use to play some games.
So what, I got to interrupt.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What is this doing that the other VR headsets aren't already doing? Because I've already used other headsets where I can see the world around me when I'm wearing them. They weren't in full color.
Right. But what you're failing to realize is it isn't just a pass through. It's able to do overlays on, it's augmented reality. So it's augmenting
Google
and
Glasses
overlaying.
did that.
I understand the technology has been there, but seeing them put in the same.
I know. I'm just saying, I don't see how a $1,500 headset by Facebook is going to change any nature of gaming when it's just refining something that we already have. People already aren't using metaverse and this stuff they're pushing, and no one's $1,500 AR goggles are not going to catch on.
Well, I mean, yeah, your argument is solid if you ignore all of the points that I made previously, and the fact that if it gets it in more hands because more people are using it.
No one's going to spend $1,500. The layman is not going to spend $1,500.
But I haven't brought up the layman yet. What I'm talking about is companies adopting this en masse, which they are already doing in the form of Meta.
Meta is not catching on en masse. Like, we could have this conversation if you want.
I'm talking about no.
It's a complete failure.
Well, yeah. Let's. How is it a complete failure?
One of their biggest things, there was a huge article over the Reddit after they spent $200 million, had 30 peak active users.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg's tried to keep interest going by the fact that soon they're going to be adding legs to the metaverse. Facebook itself, their users, their employees aren't even using metaverse unless they're forced to.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So, but let's talk. So ignore the advance in technology. Okay. And let's talk more about like what we expect Meta to be. Meta so far has been talked about mostly in the workplace. And if we start seeing, so Activision Blizzard, the Bobby Kotick, as much as we hate him, has been talking almost nonstop, if you keep up with Bobby Kotick news like I do, about Meta and Metaverse. And talking about the opportunities that Meta brings to you, not in the gaming space, but in the workplace. And if we have CEOs of large tech companies talking about this is going to be the workplace going forward, then that equals proliferation. So
what is it that the metaverse is going to provide that employees don't already have?
It's not necessarily about the metaverse. It's not so.
Okay, so what is it the VR is going to provide this new headset that we don't already have?
Nothing that we don't already have. That's not that. So, okay.
I'm just having trouble wrapping my head around how this is going to catch on. If it's not providing anything we don't already have, like I could see it being used a lot because businesses are willing to buy hundreds of things for their employees who aren't going to use them because they don't need an augmented reality version of an email memo.
Well, if they have sales and they are required to use them, which is I expect probably something that is going to be required by the companies that provide them to their employees, then that's proliferation. You're getting more units in more people's hands. Now those people have them at home for things other than practical application. So we are going to start seeing games being developed for these headsets and using things like the VR and AR, the mixed reality.
I hope VR keeps going. I hope it catches on. I think we need to see more concrete evidence and use cases of something like this that isn't just fluff corporate speak. Because so far, everything I've heard. But this headset does that. So it mixes the VR and the AR and mixed reality. To what effect?
To
be able to hang
to more
a virtual
possibility.
Painting? I mean, the possibility is always there with new technology, but
the possibility of using computers was there in 1940. We just hadn't invented it yet.
This isn't the first VR thing.
You're right.
Mixing AR and VR isn't new. I'm just agreeing that this is an iteration in VR tech, but this new headset hasn't revolutionized anything. It's just better hardware of something that we already have. The ability to overlay augmented reality things on things, maybe not in crisp high quality, that's not new.
What's done that before?
First off, the original Oculus, when you put it on, you're setting your boundaries. You can see the world around you.
Yeah, they had pass through. They didn't have augmented reality.
What is this augmented reality doing that headset didn't? The ability to have a 3D object in space in relation to the room around you.
Yeah,
like.
You can't think of the possibility for games like that around that? Like, let's talk about Mario, the IRL Mario.
See how a headset by Facebook, who everybody hates, that's currently $1,500, is going to in any way further that.
I hate to break it to you, but Facebook is the reason that we're still getting AR or VR development in the first place.
They're not the only VR company.
They aren't, but they're the biggest by far. The Quest 2 is the number one selling headset of all time.
It's okay. I'll give you that. But
I agree with you. I fucking hate Facebook.
I just really felt like an ad for something that honestly I will buy World of Warcraft 100 times before I buy an Oculus. And I will
too. I'm not going to be buying.
Then why are we talking about it? Why are we giving specs for something that we shouldn't be supporting? We might have to cut this part out, but like
we won't. So
it really irritates me that you go so deep into like the specs and the hardware of something that we should be telling people to ignore.
But I'm not going to be buying this. I don't think anybody should be buying this. What this does is create the competition for somebody like Valve to bring out a new headset. I would love
to see this ad competition. I don't want to spend 5 minutes talking about the tech specs and that kind of stuff or something that I don't want anybody ever buying.
Okay, so I again, not pimping Facebook, not pimping Meta.
It really sounds like you are.
I'm not.
I know you're not, But you spent a lot of time on a segment that we say, okay, so they've managed to integrate AR and VR. This is new tech. It's unfortunate it's Facebook. We need to talk about the tech. But then you spent 5 minutes talking about all this cool hardware it has. That's just an ad.
So the hardware is the explanation of the AR and VR, which is where I was going before we started talking Facebook and Meta.
It's fair. It's just it really just feels like an ad.
I had a presentation ready to go. Like, I wasn't going to be talking about metaverse at all. What I was going to be talking about is this guy's experience in VR and AR and the ability to use mixed reality and track eye movement and facial movement, which hasn't been done in a headset yet. Better sensors on
eye movement hasn't been tracked?
No.
Yeah, it totally tracks your eyes. There's computers that track your eyes.
Dude, so we're talking about new technology in the headset. So yes, you're right. All this technology has existed. We've had microprocessors since the 1960s. Okay. That's not what, like, it's the utilization of these things to come together. So we haven't seen this yet.
Okay.
The eye tracking is so when you're in a space with other people playing a multiplayer game, you now have you can literally see where they're looking instead of playing everybody looking around like Batman.
It is neat that they can do that.
Yeah,
better track where you are in space.
But also being able to see facial expressions, like a smile or a frown, makes a big difference when you're talking with somebody in virtual reality.
I'm thinking what Andy's saying is much how our cell phones have taken a table full of devices and squished them into this magic device.
The square.
The square, right? They're doing that here. They're taking that, yes, we had the technology to listen to music on headphones and to call people and to look at pictures, but now we can do all of those things on this guy.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's kind of what he's getting at. Is it the future tech Nazis doing it? Perhaps, yes. But getting just the squishing down of this technology into a single device, and the fact that Meta will force Facebook people to use this, people will start using it in ways they did not intend for it in the business class. And I see what he's saying in the grand scheme of things. Getting something like this into the zeitgeist, into the daily use, is going to make it more affordable, because someone's going to say, dude, I mean, this thing is fucking great. And someone's going to be like, well, dude, I can't pay $1,500 for this.
It'll get cheaper.
It has to be cheaper, yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So, I apologize
for being contrarian, and I hear you, Josh. You're right. I think you encapsulated what you said well.
That was actually my closing statement. It
actively irritates me that we give them any time at all. I don't care how much it relates to gaming, and I tried to keep my mouth shut for a while, but it went on long enough that I was getting bothered by it.
That's fine.
So that's my opinion.
I don't have a problem.
It's not right.
I don't have a problem arguing with you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fine. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But yeah, so Josh did my closing for me, which I was going to talk about the stagnation of technology in the phone space and how we're seeing what might be the next cell phone happening right now. Right. Yeah. And the fact that these technologies, they're going to get cheaper, smaller, and we might just be wearing these things on our face all the time. It's going to become possibly as ubiquitous as the cell phone.
Cheaper, smaller, and more invasive.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's where I was going with it. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this guy's experience with the headset. But I think I talked about it enough at this point. More hardware news. We talked about how last week how they were launching two.
I was kind of confused because I heard like jitterings of this article that they were like gonna, I guess, unlaunch is the word for it.
Well,
this is no confirmation.
This is straight from NVIdia. They are calling it the unlaunching of the 12 gigabyte RTX 4080. So I made complaints last week about how there were going to be two 4080 launches coming after the 4090. One was 16 gigabytes and one was 12 gigabytes. And I said, why isn't the 12 gigabyte version just the 4070. It looks like that might be the case now.
Okay.
They NVIdia, in a weird turn of events, because they don't listen to their community, and is unlaunching the 12 gigabyte 4080. And it looks like that might become a different SKU.
So they had a 12 and a 16?
Yeah.
Okay. They're probably just going to rename it.
Probably. I mean, the thing is the graphics cards are already made, so I'm not sure what they're going to do as far as a renaming convention goes. Or
wide out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What they're probably going to do is they're probably going to hold on to these until they announce the 3070 Ti, and this will be the 3070 Ti, or the 4070 Ti rather.
Oh, this is that's the 12 gigabyte is the plus, and the 16's the plus.
Yeah, you can cover a little plus into the graphics card, right?
Well, oh boy, that's a whole other conversation for me, being that the 20 series had not only the 20 series had, we'll just pick the 2080. It had the 2080 and had another version with more memory, much like what they were going to do with the 4080. Mm-hmm. It also had the 4080 Super and the 4080 Ti. So, it's a whole thing. 20 XT6. It's the Core i7 Maple Syrup RX 40 edition.
Maple Syrup RX is the name.
Don't put maple syrup on it.
A modern day Amish buggy.
I mean, the only issue that I have with the maple syrup portion of the announcement is that the acronym is MX.
Oh,
but, yeah, maple syrup.
Syrup. One day they'll learn.
One day.
Be like, this is the GeForce 2024 edition because it came out in 2024, and we have models 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And their sales will tank by half, and they'll be like, I told you so, Nick. I'll be like, well, how would I know? Right? People buy it because it says 20XT6 in the title. I thought maybe they wanted good graphics, but no, they need a lot of letters and numbers to justify their purchase.
The moment Intel puts out the 20XT6 is when I go back to Team Blue. It's 20XT6. Well, in other news, you got a little something from a company that we like.
Oh,
yeah.
One that makes a headset that we do enjoy.
Exactly. Slightly less problematic. Valve has filed some trademarks and crossed some I's and dotted some T's, because that's how language works, and filed a trademark for a new name filed under video game software. So it's looking like we're having a new intellectual property from Valve. It's been roughly 900 eons since they've made a new game.
Yep. I think I hear the fucking ticker tape parade fucking firing up out there, man.
My clock on my phone says it's 13 past 94. So watch the skies. But yeah, the working title for this project is Neon Prime.
That was, wasn't that your nickname in high school?
No, that was yours.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
Silly.
Yeah.
I thought that was the name of your dick.
Oh, that's
what it was.
Neon Prime to me sounds a little cyberpunky. I mean, we're in that vogue right now. On top of that, on the Recetera forum, there was a previous employee of Valve who, if he had to take a guess at it, said that they might be working on a FTL-style shipbuilding game, which is very spicy, and my nipples are erect. At the end of the day, it's a new Valve IP. They kind of really don't fail. So anything we're going to get is going to be great. There's not a lot of information, but other than that, they are working on a Half-Life VR game, another project codenamed Citadel, which is supposed to offer asynchronous multiplayer between someone in VR and another person using a traditional PC. We saw that promised with Tom Clancy's The Division.
We sure did. I was like instantly,
you were there.
Instantly, I thought of Division.
A lot of promises. Valve isn't known for fully reneging on their promises, but we will see how that pans out. Just the idea that they're making new IP really
hefty
neat.
promise to. I mean, I don't even. That boggles the mind.
Well,
so about it,
let's give. I mean, we are giving Valve credit. It's a company that we actively support and enjoy. But to their credit, the reason they put out a game is to leverage new technologies.
Yeah.
They
wait until they've got enough new tech that they can do some big bombastic thing.
Yeah. I mean, they literally made Half-Life 2 because they're like, we figured out how to work gravity really well in a video game. I mean, Half-Life 2 was a tech demo for a gravity gun.
Physics.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one was Half-Life Alex, which was VR.
VR, yeah. And those are their staple games right there. Like we literally talked half their catalog. Yep.
So that is exciting.
It does tittle the bits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
My bits are tittled.
Any other news chunks?
I do have a little bite here. In the last couple of weeks, Google announced that Stadia, their cloud gaming service, would be shutting down.
Did you just say clown?
Did I say clown? I meant cloud. No, I did not mean clown. If
Take
I
off
said
your
clown,
makeup.
apologies. And on the back of that, at TechCrunch Disrupt, Netflix announced that they are maybe taking a significant stab at cloud gaming. Oh. Now, I mean, everybody knows what the cloud is, or at least has a basic idea of that. I had a basic idea of what the cloud is. I didn't really understand how it equated to gaming. So now
tell you real quick.
I was going to say, well, let's do a quick rundown for the layman, just in case they also don't know how it equates.
When Steam Summer Sale or Winter Sale comes around, you buy a bunch of games and you only play a few of them. All those other games that you don't play start to condensate, and that game liquid goes up into the sky and forms cloud servers. Right?
God damn it.
Yes, that's how it works.
Josh thought I was going to be honest.
I thought you were going to be helpful. Thank you.
Cloud gaming is the ability to stream, much like you do Netflix. You don't have to have any physical medium in order to watch something from Netflix. You just go to netflix.com or the app on your phone. You bring up a movie and you watch it. This is very similar in the fact that you need a pretty low spec way to control a game.
Basically need a screen and a controller.
Basically, I mean, you have to have a little intermediary device, whether it be your phone or Google Stadia had its own console. You usually have to have something to manipulate the game on, but you'll need a gamepad and maybe a Chromebook that's going to work for cloud gaming. So basically, what it boils down to is it's the same service as streaming movies, but you're streaming video games, and you're able to control them.
You wanna play Ragnarok coming out here in 4K with all the bells and whistles, but you don't have a $1,500 gaming PC. Well, you might be able to do it through something like this with a little bit of delay and all that jazz. Now, cloud gaming hasn't really taken off like we were kind of talking about in the market where they designed it to take off in that gaming market, right? I mean, Stadia is shutting down, but Netflix is taking a big jump in. Now, Netflix has been really investing in their gaming chops this last year. I think they own 5 game studios now, and their newest one is being headed up by a former Overwatch EP. Sorry about butchering your name here, Chaco. Chaco Sunny.
Okay.
He's going to
I'm glad that was his name, and we're just pulling that out.
No. He's going to be heading up yet another game studio that Netflix has. Netflix says by 2023 they want to be offering 55 games on their gaming service. Now they have a couple out there. Into the Breach, I think, is really the one of note. But I hear Netflix and, you think movies, TV shows. I don't think, Madden or...
I mean, it hasn't been since GameFly that we've had any kind of alternate video game renting system, back when Netflix did CDs.
Now I don't know, just I'm kind of perplexed by the Netflix of it all. Now, are there, because I looked into a little bit of cloud gaming and I found Shadow. They seem to be doing a pretty cool service where it's more like you're renting a powerful PC to do all of your PC needs that you need to get done. Well, why is Netflix jumping into this? Are there other heavy hitters in this space, in this medium, trying to do this? Why
for cloud gaming?
For cloud gaming?
Oh yeah.
So there's
Xbox,
Xbox,
PlayStation,
right? So
Amazon looks like they're probably going to be getting into it
Luna.
as well.
They do have Luna.
They do have Luna, but recently it's been discovered that it looks like they're going to be doubling down pretty hard.
Okay.
Amazon Web Services already serves about half of the internet.
So is cloud gaming going to be a significant medium for the future of gaming? Is this a term that we're all going to, like, in a couple of years, it's going to be like, oh yeah, everybody knows what that is. That's just how a significant portion of us play video games now.
It has the potential to be. Sure, it does. Whether the technology is ready yet or not, that's debatable. I think that really depends on what your expectations of performance are and what your own home tech situation looks like.
Right.
And I also think that it only serves some games.
Well, I mean, like, because of the delay that's going to be natural in this, playing something competitive based or an FPS is going to be what amounts to a non-starter.
Effectively,
right? Like, if you're playing for fun with some buddies, like, oh, hey, we're going to get together and play some Halo, then, like, what? Sure.
Right. So right now, it's because it's a complicated answer whether it's going to work or not. Is the technology is being developed. It's heavy in development by the biggest names in tech. They see this as the way forward. Whether that's right or not, we have yet to see. This is still, we're still in the infancy of cloud gaming. Now, one of the issues that we have right now is there are, with cloud gaming in particular, is we have people that are playing a local client. So they're playing from a disc or from a game that they have installed on their console or their home PC versus people that might be playing on the cloud. If you're playing on the cloud in a competitive game, you're going to have a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Now, if there were cloud-specific games that were only available in cloud gaming, that would get rid of any advantage anybody has when it comes to, like, a local copy of a game being played. That would certainly level out the playing field. We're not going to see that anytime soon. The tech isn't quite ready to roll out to the masses. But if you have a really good home network, if you have really reliable internet, then it is certainly a way that I'd say that you could viably play plenty of games.
Okay.
Still, there's going to be demonstrable latency. I did play, we talked about this on a podcast a few months ago.
A little bit, yeah.
I played Devil May Cry 5 on Amazon Luna. It played great. I had really no complaints, but there certainly was a little bit of latency. It wasn't game breaking, but it was noticeable. And it is something that, latency is something that drives me fucking nuts. In this case, it wasn't egregious. It was totally playable. And I think that style of game is fine. I mean, it's not a Twitch shooter. It's not something that you have to react instantly to in game. There is a little bit of leeway as far as, like reacting to a monster coming at you or something like that. But if you are able, like if you're playing the game and your goal is to get your combo meter up as high as possible, which is a staple of the franchise, then it's probably not going to be terribly noticeable.
What now? I guess my other main, like my other real question or quandary or whatever is what type, like if Netflix is buying game studios, they bought a couple of game studios and now they're just building some of their own up from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Is Netflix looking to release a Horizon Zero Dawn, or are they just going to give me like the tappy, like the fucking Stranger Things game? So, is that what they're looking? What are like?
According to this article, as of September, from Netflix itself, they've acquired Next Games, Night School Studio, and Boss Fight Entertainment. One of which made some puzzle game based off Stranger Things. Another one made Oxenfree, which was a pretty big indie hit. And the other game is literally just a phone game. And then now they're doing their own individual studio. So I think this is going to go off the rails for a little bit. I'll try to keep this short. For a long time, you had Sony and you had Nintendo and eventually Microsoft, who was able to carve out this triumvirate of environments that people played games in that weren't PC gamers, right? PC gamers have always been this weird fourth parallel on the outside. And as tech's been changing and whatnot, you have all these big companies like Netflix and Amazon and I guess Microsoft and things like that. And they're all slathering at the mouth to try to create their own environment that is fully under their control to get the customers into. So games as a service is a start. We provide you a service that you pay for. You technically don't own the game, but we have complete and utter control. And when it stops becoming profitable, we kill the game.
Yeah, just
we see games as a service games over the last 10, 15 years dying every month. They're like, we're not supporting the service anymore. It's down. And that's just a first step in the line of something like Netflix saying, hey, we're starting to have problems with money. We're not making as much profit. Like, can we carve out our own space in this glutted market? I mean, to a layman like me, if I can Google Stadia, its corpse hasn't even hit the ground yet. It just died like a week ago, and Netflix is announcing this. Clearly, they didn't think of this 2 days ago, right? This had to have been in the work for a while. But like, we're in a glutted market right now of everyone trying to have their own game launcher, their own environment. I don't know what the fuck Netflix is doing.
Like Netflix, so... I got some numbers here. I have some numbers here.
Cool.
As of this August, Netflix had 1.7 million daily users who downloaded games via the Netflix mobile app.
That's a lot.
Now, sure, it does sound that way until you consider it being less than 1% of Netflix's 221 million subscriber base.
Yeah, and they're downloading games for free. They're not necessarily even paying money.
Year, Netflix, for like the first time since they stabbed their dagger through Blockbuster's, back, has lost subscribers.
Yeah, it's like
for the
million.
for the first time in something like a fucking decade, they've lost subscribers. So I just, I don't know the quality. Like, what is if it's a money grab? I mean,
it feels like a panic grab to me.
Google's thing just died. I mean, if Google couldn't do I don't know, but like Google anyway.
It's a desperate attempt to get people back to on a subscription service for Netflix. Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, one of the things that you see most big companies do is diversify. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing. They're diversifying in the hopes that they can get more people's eyeballs and more people's money.
Okay. I guess that's fair. But I don't know. I wonder, again, what type of game this is going to be. Yeah. What does this mean because Netflix doesn't make games. So, they do so all right on TV. What does this mean for what's the next 5 years going to look like in the landscape of gaming from this? Does it actually amount to, I don't know, but
probably not. Ultimately, probably not.
If we analogize it, Netflix was the first person to start a trend in high school. They accidentally wore something and it got super popular and they blew up and they didn't know how to handle it. So they went from CDs to streaming back and forth and all this, and they got huge quick. But there's a whole bunch of other popular people in this high school, Amazon, Microsoft, Sony, and all that. And they say, oh, this new tech, this new fangled thing that Netflix is doing, we need to do that. So as you saw, Netflix came out, and then we had Hulu, and then we had this and that, and now we're up to Paramount Plus, God forbid, right? Everybody and their cousin has a streaming service, and Netflix is one thing that made them a shit ton of money and that was good is now in a glutted market. Yeah, you're original. Yeah, you have some good shows, but there's so much competition. And those corporations are fighting over publishing rights so hard that we've seen, you'll go to watch a show and episodes 1, 3, 7, 8, and 9 are on Netflix, and episodes 2 are on Hulu, and 5 is on...
Motherfucker, try to watch Top Gear.
Yeah,
old episodes of Top Gear, impossible.
They're literally scrabbling like rats over flesh, trying to get the publishing rights to sell the right to do this stuff to eke out that much more money. So yeah, I think what Netflix is doing is it had its one-trick pony. It got huge. They weren't able to continue it, and now whoever's in charge is trying to find a way to make more profit, and they are doing the opposite of what they did in the first place, and they're trying to break into a market that is already glutted. I don't see it going well.
I don't know.
Could be wrong, but given the companies I see they bought, that's not a great sign.
They're really doubling down on this. So
I hope it works out for them.
Me too, dude. Honestly, the fact of the matter is, as big as Netflix is in our minds, it's the little guy.
Yeah,
in this market, absolutely. They don't.
Yeah,
Some of their-
Netflix is the fucking underdog
Some of their their competitors are Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah.
Like,
in the gaming sphere,
the
and
gaming
then you
sphere,
look at
and
who
then-
they're competing with for their bread and butter. It's Paramount, Disney, fucking Disney.
Disney's the juggernaut. in
Disney,
that
yeah,
equation.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney Plus is probably growing in subscribers massively, while Netflix is starting to lose them. Netflix lost subscribers in a month that Stranger Things came out.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for Netflix, and it's really unfortunate because they've had a lot of really good quality content, but it's really hard to justify keeping a Netflix subscription when you're watching 6 things on Disney Plus, you're watching 3 things on Paramount Plus, and The Office is on Peacock.
That shit adds up.
Yeah.
Inflation's going up. Well, I don't have the money to spend
Someone
$50
said
on
earlier,
subscription
them losing
services.
The Office was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's true.
Yeah.
It's God, I want to watch The Office, but I'm not doing it on.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick up Peacock just to watch The Office. The Office is dead to me now.
Yep.
It sucks, but it is what it is.
The awful is. Other than that, you can order pizza through Oblivion now.
Yep.
Someone made a mod for the original Oblivion where you talk to an NPC, and if you follow the text dialogue correctly, it'll ping an API and order a pizza.
It's brilliant.
Yes.
I have one more thing.
We live in the future.
One more thing.
I'm going to keep it brief because we're already going long.
Yeah, baby.
But guys, it's been a long run.
Yeah, baby.
G4TV is dead.
It's dead a second time.
Yeah.
They've been resurrected
alive?
and re-killed.
So I'm surprised that you guys didn't know that it was ever back.
Legitimately did
I know.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys didn't actually know the G4 has been back for nearly a year.
Sure it has.
They officially relaunched on November 16th, 2021 with names like Adam Sessler
Never heard of
and
them.
Kevin Pereira. Olivia Munn even came back a little bit.
Olivia Munn?
Dude,
He's heard of her.
brother. They had a lot of the old G4 crew back, and unfortunately, we're losing them again. So the extra unfortunate part is a lot of them found out via Twitter.
Ugh, that's the worst.
Yeah, so Dave Scott, the chairman and CEO of Comcast, sent out
Comcast.
sent out a tweet that said, this actually got leaked by somebody that sent it out. As you know, G4 was reintroduced last year to tap into the popularity of gaming. We invested to create the new G4 as an online and TV destination for fans to be entertained, be inspired, and connect with gaming content. Over the past several months, we worked hard to generate that interest in G4, but viewership is low and the network has not achieved sustainable financial results. This is certainly not what we hoped for, and as a result, we have made the very difficult decision to discontinue G4's operations effective immediately.
Not that difficult. You put it in a fucking tweet.
Yeah, I know this is disappointing news, and I'm disappointed too. I want to thank you and everyone on the G4 team for the hard work and the commitment to the network. Our human resources team is reaching out to you to provide you with support, discuss other opportunities that may be
Right after
available,
they send this text.
and answer any questions you may have.
We're sorry.
All these people that worked for G4 are probably going to be fine. They're gonna integrate into other parts of the network. It's fucking Comcast, right? It's partially owned by Verizon. Like they're probably going to be fine. But you know, it certainly I think shows the end of an era. A second time.
They tried to bring an era back.
Yeah, it was, unfortunately it's really sad because, the promises of G4 coming back was it was going to be like led by Adam Sessler, Kevin Pereira, which I was never a huge Kevin Pereira guy. He did Attack of the Show. He took over what used to be Tech TV's staple.
He got better.
He did. I don't have anything against Kevin Pereira. I think he's an excellent entertainer. But Attack of the Show may have been my least favorite thing to ever be on G4. It had fun segments. I mean,
didn't see
I
the
did see
Nazi
Cops.
war propaganda they ran one time.
Come on now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Making shit up.
I mean, they did reruns of Cops for a lot of their
Oh my
content,
God.
but like
Oh,
in
really?
the original rendition, not in the reboot.
Not in the
The
reboot.
reboot had quality gaming content 24/7.
So they did do Nazi shit.
Yeah, they did do Nazi shit.
It's
Take it back.
It's kind of sad. Now, there's a lot of people that are talking about like how G4 was killed by its woke content, how everybody on G4 has gone woke. I don't think that plays into this at all. I just don't think most people knew that it even existed again.
Yeah, I honestly did not know it was back until I saw the article that it was dead again. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Now that I've had some time to think about it, I think Adam might have told me months and months and months and months ago they were bringing it back. But like I never...
We actually talked about it on the podcast coming back.
Okay, probably that's probably what it was. Yeah. But then like I never heard about it. You know...
Well, there wasn't a whole lot to... I mean, other than Address the Cess and X-Play coming back in those forums,
you have to ask yourself... Yeah. I don't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
They're doing G4 on, you said, on Twitch and on TV. So first off, don't put it on TV.
Yeah, that's a waste of time and money. Yeah.
So if we're doing G4 as a channel on Twitch, what do I want to see out of a G4 that would also overlap on a pie chart with something that might get them viewers? To me, that's interviews with developers that are not promoting an active game necessarily, right? So we know it's not just an ad. And two, it's people who play a lot of games, who have opinions of them, talking about games. Like like you said, the stuff on Attack of the Show, the bits, they're funny and whatnot. And sure, if you want to have, it's a 24/7 Twitch stream, they're going to do some of that. But like, what is there that hasn't been covered on Twitch regarding games already? So I'm already like, assuming, I'm thinking in my head, okay, what was G4 Twitch TV like? It's probably worse than I can imagine, which is probably why it failed.
It was just G4. They just
like
played
you said,
what was on
G4
TV.
was in part cops. Like I can't even picture what was on the new Twitch G4.
And, it's kind of its downfall was a lot of it was just roundtable discussion from people inside the gaming industry.
See, that's the only thing I could think of that I'd want out of G4. So I guess I'm not the audience.
Well, and that's what. So I mean, that's kind of what we do, but we do it in an hour. Yeah. We don't have to fill 24 hours worth of content, and we get straight to it. We don't have to vamp, you know.
Yeah.
So and I think ultimately that's probably another nail in the coffin.
Well, trying to get 24 hours a day worth of content that's. Jesus Christ! Talk about a fucking uphill battle.
Sometimes we have a hard time getting an hour out of it, right?
So I don't understand why it's not. Hey, fucking tune in on fucking Fridays for our show, and then tune in Wednesdays, and then we'll have fucking call-in times where we can talk about the show when it's being rebroadcasted in fucking Australia tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. Like, it seems like you do kind of like a TV show kind of thing, or like a network kind of idea. It's like, well, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Mondays, we got Attack of the Show, baby. It's back. That same kind of format, running the stuff. Like, could they have done that? Would that mean just cut the television portion out?
There's new games coming out right there. Dozens, if not hundreds, on PC every single day.
Yeah.
They could have filled up most of their time with just, hey, we bought a copy of this game that just came out today. We're going to play it for an hour. We're going to play it for 2 hours. And then after that, we're going to play another new game that just came out today. Oh, it's 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Attack of the Show because now everybody's watching. We're going to do some Apex or something, But... yeah, the only really thing I can think of that I want out of G4 on Twitch is just play new games. Just play games and talk about games. Like, and if that doesn't work, then I guess it's just a format that doesn't work.
Yeah. I think ultimately giving you 24/7 game news content is just not. It's too lofty a goal.
It ruined regular news. Don't let it ruin video games.
I mean,
too.
One of the things we like talking about the most is indie games. We love indie developers. We love the fact that they cost less, that they're usually made better. They're passion projects from these people, and you're supporting like up and coming game developers. We know already that is not our best viewed content, but we put that out because that's what we're into and that's the audience that we want. Versus when we talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 for 5 minutes in a podcast and I put that as the thumbnail, we get 1,000 times the normal viewership of one of our normal videos. So you can only talk about the AAA so much before you're just out of content. Whereas if you just like video games and you're not just playing the new Call of Duties and the new, as much as I love God of War, it's a AAA title and it's just it's another title in a series, however beloved it is. It's just another title. you can only get so much out of that. You can't do a 24/7 gaming show based on that stuff.
Dear audience, if you want that, you come watch our Twitch, you send us a voicemail on our website, you subscribe to our social media, and I promise I will do a 3-hour stream where I just say battle pass over and over again until I pass out.
You'll pass out in 3 hours?
That's the max. If I can make it 3 hours,
okay,
then that's the cap.
All right.
But I mean, that's a buzzword, right?
Battle pass.
Fair and balanced, engaging gameplay, microtransactions,
NFT.